I'm so glad I had a chance to talk to you about this project you've been working on for so long. Getting a bike and pedestrian path installed, as well as dedicated bus lane on the Washington Bridge that connects this part of Manhattan and the Bronx. It's really the newest one of these projects where we've taken a lane away from the motor vehicle traffic and given it to alternative modes. And I'm just really curious to know, since you live up here, what does it done in terms of integrating these two neighborhoods and helping people from each side interact and travel?
Yeah, I mean, the Washington Bridge connects the West Bronx, High Bridge, and Morris Heights on this major thoroughfare on 181st Street to Washington Heights and Inwood. I mean, this is like Fordham Road. It's like 14th Street. There's so much shopping, restaurants. There's a university, major hospitals on either side. So the fact that folks can now go in between the communities in other ways other than driving or, taking a ride share, it's so much better. And the fact that it's a 24/7 access bridge, like the High Bridge, for example, that can also connect Washington Heights and the Bronx, it's closed. I think it closes at 8 o'clock at night and doesn't open until 8 o'clock in the morning. People don't understand that these bridges and this infrastructure is used for transportation. It's not just a park. So we really need our city infrastructure to be open and useful to people all the time, 24/7.
But that's the thing. New York City is a 24-hour city, right?
Yes.
Our subway system runs 24/7. Our bus system does. And now, you can, without even using the mass transportation, paying a fare, you can have a bike, a scooter, or even just walking back and forth across. I mean, these are really two very different neighborhoods. I know, like, traditionally, since time out of mind, Washington Heights, that's like the big Dominican neighborhood. But what kind of folks live over there primarily? Or is it,
I mean, it's a lot of families, a lot of immigrants, a lot of folks from West Africa, really rich community, a lot of schools. So it's wonderful to be able to connect these two neighborhoods, and especially giving us in the Bronx access to all the shopping and the restaurants that are over there in Washington Heights. And then giving folks in Washington Heights access to the Grand Concourse, going up to Fordham Road to the Bronx Zoo and the Botanical Garden. So it's just enriching both neighborhoods.
Yeah, one of the things that I always like to say is when I was chair of the Manhattan Committee, back in about 2008, 2009, we launched the 1st and 2nd Avenue corridor bike paths. That was, it took so long. And still there were gaps. There was the 2nd Avenue subway gap. There was the Queensboro Bridge gap, the Midtown Tunnel gap. Like, this project, did it go in phases? Or did you basically get the whole thing done at once because it was on a bridge?
I mean, the DOT had proposed the Harlem River Bridges project, which is a really long-term project. I think the Willis Avenue Bridge was one of the first and really best applications that they did. They built a really wide pedestrian and cyclist path that was protected from cars.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then the Washington Bridge, was a part of that. We really had to say, hey, finish the job. And then eventually, when we have the perimeter of Manhattan all connected on a multi-use bike and pedestrian path, we now in the Bronx can use that park access. And then eventually when the Harlem River bikeway and greenway gets built up, it's really gonna,
when's that gonna happen? Do you have a date for me?
Supposedly we're getting more federal funds. Our representatives that go to Congress are getting more funding.
They've been impounded last week.
Is this good?
We'll see, but the Willis Avenue Bridge was a great opportunity because it was brand new, right? They built that like somewhere else and they floated up the river on a barge and just put it in place in big sections. Retrofitting a bridge like this one that's much older, I mean, this bridge is over, 150 years old, 140, something like that,
It was built in the 1800s, so it's really old. But actually, it's easier, right? Because essentially you're repurposing a car lane that already existed and you're just adding a row of Jersey barriers. And then on the other side, where it's a designated bus lane, it's just paint.
Uh-huh.
So, we just needed the political will to get this done, honestly. And the end result is just wonderful for everybody.
So it might be a heavy political lift to move a lane from motor vehicle use over to alternative uses, but engineering-wise, it's not so hard.
That's right. And for this project, we really got a lot of community buy-in. I mean, activists, we volunteered and we stood here, we talked to folks using the bridge. We got over like 2,000 signatures from people in the community. So once elected officials saw that we had that much support, I think it was really hard to say no.
Well, that's how